Good evening, everyone. I want to welcome you to our 2026 Local Candidate Election Forum. My name is Carrie Perrin. I'm President and CEO of the Northern Brazoria County Chamber of Commerce, and I'm thrilled to have such a evening tonight for you and have it recorded for you, the voter, especially those of you who have not decided what you want to do yet. First and foremost, I want to extend a couple of thank yous for allowing us to do this. Right now, we're recording this in Redeemer Church in Manville on Highway 6, so we're very grateful to them letting us use their equipment, use their house. This is such a big help to our community. Next, I want to thank the chairperson for our Governmental Relations Committee, Carolyn Waits. She's going to be moderating this evening, and so we want to thank her for all the work she does for us on this and how many times we often make her get on stage. And of course, a huge thanks to all of our candidates making themselves available to us so that we can get to know them and know where they stand on important issues. This forum tonight is not meant to be any sort of debate or have a rebuttal time. It's very much a just get to know the candidates and know where they stand on the issues. If you want to know more about these candidates, you can go to our local election guide, which is on our website at nbcchamber.org. Before we begin, I want to take a brief moment to remind you, the voter, how important it is to show up to the polls for local elections. It's these elections that have the most dramatic impact on your everyday life. So it's very important that you are informed and that you show up every time the polls are open. So thank you again for doing the work to be educated for this upcoming ballot. Tonight, we will be hearing from candidates in 3 contested races: Manville City Council, Iowa Colony City Council, and the Alvin ISD School Board. We want to acknowledge some of the uncontested races that you might see on your ballot, depending on where you are. You're going to see some Board of Regents candidates for Alvin College. You're also going to see some candidates from Alvin City Council if you live in that area, but those are uncontested races. Tonight, the vast majority have shown up to be here to be able to explain their positions on important issues for you. 2 of the candidates in the school board trustee race are not able to be here, but we pre-recorded their answers yesterday, and we will splice those into the video as you watch for the school board. With that, I want to turn it over to our moderator, Carolyn Waits, and I thank you again for watching.
Welcome. We will now begin the forum for the Iowa Colony City Council candidates. Before we start, I want to briefly explain the role of these candidates are seeking. A city council member serves as part of the legislative and governing body of the city. They are responsible for setting city policy, approving the annual budget, determining the local tax rate, and making critical decisions regarding zoning, infrastructure, and public safety. In short, they are the stewards of Iowa Colony's growth, tax dollars, and quality of life. We're going to quickly go over the rules. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes to make an opening statement regarding their experience, objectives, and platform. Each candidate will be given up to 1 minute to answer each question. No question will be asked that is directed at one particular candidate. All candidates' answers and statements will be timed, and the timer will start when the candidate begins to speak. At 65 seconds, the facilitator will move to the next candidate if you have not begun to finish your thought. Our time is very limited this evening, and we may not be able to ask every planned question. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes for closing statement. All rules regarding timing and enforcement will apply to the closing statement. Candidates are encouraged to use their opening and closing statements wisely. Think of them as a commercial for your candidacy. This is your opportunity to highlight your platform, share your vision, and let attendees know how they can connect with you or learn more about your campaign. After the forum, there will be a form to fill out that will help us complete our post-event election guide, which will be shared with the community. Please be sure to fill it out before you leave. And participation in this forum is contingent on each candidate respecting the rules. Time will be strictly enforced. Should a candidate not comply, they will be asked to discontinue their participation in the forum. All right, please join me in welcoming our Iowa Colony City Council candidates who will introduce themselves with an opening statement. All right, I am going to start on the far end. April, you can start with your opening statement. You have 2 minutes.
All right. Hello, everyone. I am April McCoy. I have been a resident of Iowa Colony since 2016 when I closed on my house. I'm running for position 1 because I am the perfect imperfect person, but I also believe that we need to get leadership back into the city council. Over the last year, something has happened. The dynamic has happened. It's changed, and it's almost become stale. We're not growing. We're focused on personal agendas and not the people's business, and something has to give. We're continuously using tax dollars on investigations when we need to move the people's business forward. So for me, it's more about regaining leadership and structure into the place that we call home.
All right, here we go. My name is Margaret Madriaga. I'm running for City Council position 1. I have lived in the city of Iowa Colony since 2017. I have 2 children, a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old. I'm also a local business owner. I own Future Explorers Academy. I employ over 30 employees. Additionally, before I breached off into childcare, I am a licensed attorney in the state of Louisiana and in Texas. The beginning part of my practice, I served clients who were injured with pharmaceutical drugs, medical devices. My role right now is Future Explorers Academy opened in November of 2023. It took me 2 years to get that school where it's at. And in that time, I have met this community. I've been involved in this community. I have served the city of Iowa Colony. I began to serve them in 2019 on the Charter Review Commission, again on the redistricting, and then on the Charter Re-Review Commission. I believe it's really important. People have a lot of statements about what the city of Iowa Colony needs, but as someone who attends city council meetings, planning zoning meetings, I know exactly what is coming for us in terms of growth and what we need to do. The fundamental pieces are there, but I believe we need better communication. I believe we need to have someone who understands commercial development. As I built my building from the ground up, I did it not from a chain, but from hard work and a lot of willpower. And I believe we have a very strong city, and we are the next stop down Highway 6, and we are central. So I hope you can vote for me, and I hope that you will get to learn more about me and my thoughts. But it takes research. It takes showing up. And it is very important that we have people that are engaged rather than just being involved when we have city council meetings. You need to meet the public.
Howdy and good evening, everyone. Oh, goodness. My name is Matthew Eisenberg. I am running for City Council Position 1. Some of y'all might recognize me from last year when I actually ran for this same position. And one of the main things that I stated was my wife and I moved here roughly 3 years ago. We started our family. We have an 8-month-old. We're working on some more, right? It takes time. But we are putting our roots down here. And over the past year, they have just dug deeper. So just like last year when I said I am here for the long haul, I am here again to show you that I am here for us. This year, the things that I'm running on are AC/DC, accountability, collaboration, and data centers. I don't know if anybody here knows about the data center that's being built over in Sweeney, Texas, or potentially be planned. Raise your hand if you know about what I'm talking about. Okay? We've had multiple cities and counties work to not say prevent this data center from happening, but to make sure that if it does happen, it benefits the communities around it in all positive ways. Is anybody familiar with what's currently going on in Corpus Christi? Yeah, okay. For those of you that are not familiar, they're currently having a water crisis because of the amount of data centers that they have in their area. This goes up to a 100-mile radius from Corpus Christi that is affecting, okay? Sweeney is roughly 40 miles from us. It's a 40-minute drive, and we will slowly but surely feel the pain if something like that is built remotely close to us. So on the accountability standpoint, I want to make sure that if we do allow bigger projects like that to happen, not just in Iowa Colony, but anywhere near us, county-wise, I mean, even state-wise, that the people that we elect in these positions are held accountable. Collaboration, it's important that we work together, so that way, if we do want this to happen, it will, or if we don't, or if our people don't, that we can get the outcome that we desire. Thank you.
My name is Nikki Brooks. I currently serve as the Iowa Colony at-large position 1. I am running for position 3. I stepped into this role last year not as a career politician, but as a resident, a taxpayer, a mom, an advocate, and I want to emphasize being a taxpayer because first and foremost, I am a taxpayer. That means I don't get no discount on anything. I'm not getting a discount on trash, water. We don't get paid. I feel that every decision that this council makes, just like you do, I feel every decision, and I approach my votes from that perspective. The community's growing. Frankly, it's becoming a little bit more expensive to live here. And we're not in a market anymore where people can just pick up and move. So with that, I view every decision we make through the lens of, does it improve the quality of life? Is it managing costs? And is it supporting responsible growth? Because the reality is that as citizens, we sit at the top of the org chart of the city. We fund it. So it's our city, these are our seats at our table, and we shouldn't be locked out of our government or the decisions, especially when we're gonna have to pay for it for the next 40 years to come. Now, from a professional perspective, if I were to wrap up my resume, I would say that my core competence is that I am a systems thinker. That means that I don't just look at what's happening, I look at why it's happening and how to fix it. And that is exactly how I have approached this past year. Now, obviously, when you come into organizations or teams like that, it can feel disruptive because people are doing their job, they're doing a great job, but that means that things may have to shift and change. With that being said, one of the things that I have emphasized over this last year, and I'll say my little acronym is the T: transparency, engagement, and accountability. We need transparency in Iowa Colony by making things accessible for our constituents. We need a little bit more engagement, and then we all need to be accountable to the people.
Good evening. My name is Lindsay Koskanemi. I'm a candidate for Iowa Colony City Council Position 2. I love local government, absolutely love it. Ever since I got out of the United States Coast Guard, I found my fit in local government and have made a career out of it. That said, I bring to the table 15 years of experience in city management, in capital projects and engineering, and finance, development services too. But currently, I serve as the CFO of the second largest city in the greater Houston metro area. And some of the things I see currently, I don't agree with. And I feel idle in my position as a public servant, not doing something about it. What I see right now is we have a lot of growth, as some of my colleagues have pointed out. Iowa Colony is growing. We've experienced exponential growth, and for 5 consecutive years have grown at a 20% rate. Those combined, it's 112% higher than where it was 5 years earlier. So with that said, it's important, it's imperative that we grow strategically and responsibly. And the way we're going, we're not doing that. There have been commercial businesses that are incompatible with the Unified Development Code that have recently been approved that will bring hardly any sales tax dollars into our city that could provide property tax relief. So these are the things I want to address, and thank you for being here tonight.
Good evening. My name is Councilwoman Arnetta Murray. It is a pleasure to be here. Let me be very clear. I am a 19-year special ed teacher. I'm a 7th-year council member, and the work that we've done at this city is just imaginable. It's unimaginable. Let me be clear. I'm the only one here on council that lived in rural for 8 years. I'm the only one here, well, currently 15 years in Sterling Lakes and currently living in Meridiana. So that tells me that I have a local, and a very vibrant view of Iowa Colony. I remember when our colony started, if you will, when I came in here, it was only 2 stores here. It was Exxon and it was what? CVS. Now, the growth has been amazing. The business is booming. You got to understand that we have to make sure that what we're doing for the community. I'm here saying that, number one, I've been here, the results are here, and in anything, there needs to be improvement. But first, we got to first give accountability and give an understanding, knowing that this city has come a long way. Again, what we're trying to do and what my focus is on public safety, making sure that we mitigate the risk for our city. We have to protect the city, the residents, to the nth degree, whether it's protecting it from us on council. So that being said, I'm here and I'm going to stay here. I'm going to make sure that I continue to grow Iowa Colony. I want it to be sustainable, but we have to be real in understanding that we have made a difference, that we do have, the business that we do have sales tax revenue, and we are trying to make sure that this is not a burden for the taxpayers. It takes time. Everything is a process in the city and being on council, and people need to understand that. It's about process, it's about people, and it's about productivity. Thank you so much.
I hate coming after you. I am Marquetta Green Scott. I am Mayor Pro Tem for the City of Iowa Colony, and I am seeking re-election for position 3. I've been on council since May 10th, 2021. I remember the date because that was when I found my place. I am a wife. My husband's sitting right there. I'm a mother. I'm a daughter. I moved my mother here from Louisiana in 2022. I'm a former teacher. I taught high school and college mathematics, and I'm an attorney. I practice in Texas and Louisiana. I am a public servant. That is what I love doing. I want to make sure that our city continues to grow. When I ran in 2021, I said, I want to help our city grow smartly. And Councilwoman Murray, when I moved here in 2019 to Iowa Colony, we didn't have any businesses. So I knew the growth was coming. And I wanted us to control the growth and not allow the growth to control us. I think there's some confusion as far as the roles that we play. We have a city manager. We are a city manager, council-run city. So our city manager instructs the staff to do things that we, the policymakers, make. So there are only so many things that we can do, and we are not to interfere in the everyday running of the city. Now, as an attorney, my number one goal is to protect the city and to protect the staff. Those are my two number one goals, right? And I want to make sure that we're making the right decisions that we're not going to regret. And I don't want anyone saying I'm making lemonade out of lemons.
All right, thank y'all very much. Because of the number of candidates we have, not everyone is going to be asked every question. I'm going to jump around and kind of go every other person. So once again, I'm going to start on the end with April. Iowa Colony is experiencing rapid growth, particularly along the Highway 288 corridor. What plans would you put in place now to proactively manage this development and ensure that our infrastructure can handle the demands before they become critical?
I think we're already at a critical moment when it comes to infrastructure. Every day, it takes us about 30 minutes just to get at minimum to the Toyota dealership. So I think we're already there. So in order to move forward, I think it's best for us to collaborate with our neighboring city because they should also be facing that same issue. I think we're bigger in numbers, right? I think we need to start with the Texas Department of Transportation to find out what is it, how can we speed the process up to actually have our lanes restriped to have that from 2 lanes to 3. So I think we're just larger in numbers and we need to work on collaborating. If we apply pressure, something has to give.
All right, I'm going to skip to Matthew. Same question.
I believe the best course of action would be to stick to our current city plan. alongside working with TxDOT. One of the big reasons for this is we already know, just like I mentioned last year on this same subject, that we have 99 coming through Roche-Sharon. It's coming through quickly. It's already been approved through Alvin. I mean, we are basically completing the full third outside circle from Greater City Houston, right? 610, Bellway 8, 99. And as 99 comes through, we just need to make sure that TDOT does their job correctly the first time and builds the roads properly. We already know that as you come back, you said 30 minutes to get one way, right? Depending on the time of day you're coming back, and if you don't want to take Masters or cut through Manville, taking back roads, or you don't want to take the opposite direction coming through the outskirts of Fort Bend, it's still going to take you 20 or 30 minutes. Following the city plan, making sure that the plan has ample green space next to those major thoroughfares, and also knowing our thoroughfare plan, which you can see on our city website, making sure that, oh crap. Apologies.
Lindsay, I'm going to have you answer the question next.
Thank you. So how we control growth management along the 288 corridor is understanding what our growth plan is. Our comprehensive plan was approved in 2020 and has not been updated since legislative changes have taken effect, namely the voluntary participation in the ETJ, which changed in 2023. So it's critical that we build upon the plans that we already have and update to today's standards. Along with that, we must partner with our other entities, TxDOT. It is critical we partner with them. How many people in this room knew that 521 is going to be expanded and the intersection at Meridiana Parkway, also known as County Road 56 and 521, is going to have a ditch dug out? Did anybody know that? Well, it's letting this year. So having open correspondence with our other entities is critical.
All right, Marquetta, your question.
Thank you. Now my time starts. Well, I agree. We do work with TxDOT for areas that are controlled by TxDOT. As a city, we hire traffic engineers whenever, especially when a new development comes, because we want to make sure that the traffic continues. The other thing we do, we just got a $300,000 grant where we're going to update our comprehensive plan so that it'll reflect the future of Iowa Colony, how we want Iowa Colony to look, and we're going to update our Unified Development Plan, Unified Development Code. So with doing all of this, right now we're using the old UDC. Our city is a zone city. So every area of our city has a zone. It may be zoned for commercial. It may be zoned for multifamily. So we're going to update that so that it reflects the new Iowa Colony.
All right, very good. We're going to move on to question 2, and I'm going to start with Margaret. With regional concerns about flooding and drainage, how will you prioritize and fund critical infrastructure projects such as stormwater management and road improvements to protect our current and future residents?
Oh, you already started time. Okay, so I'm going to shoot you straight because I only have a minute. So building a commercial building, when you do that, you start to see taxes that you pay. You have impact fees whenever you have water. You have impact fees for roadways and construction, okay? That's commercial development. You need commercial development to come in. You need detention ponds. That's why when they're expanding a road, they have to do a ditch on the other side because you need that detention. Commercial businesses bring money into the city. It is imperative that we understand what we're saying and the intentionality behind it. Commercial businesses do pay. Even commercial businesses are actually even required to expand roadways. Shocking enough, we are. I can tell you that as a business owner. Tap fees, those go into funds for the city. It is imperative that as we continue to grow, we make sure that developers are holding up their end of the bargain.
All right, Nikki, same question.
All right, great. Well, you know, in our region, flooding and drainage issues are not theoretical concerns. They are actually risk to our region. They impact the safety, property values, quality of life. So it's three things that we really need to do. First, we need to prioritize based on the data that we have here, not pressure. So we got to identify very high-risk areas where is flooding occur, where it's already happening. Second, we got to align our growth with the infrastructure readiness. So you just can't keep approving developments and approving it faster than you are getting your agreements around your drainage, your roads, or what the drainage and roads and utilities can support. So you got to work close with planning and zoning, the engineering, our regional partners. We need to leverage some state funding and federal funding opportunities. Another thing that we really need to do is we just took out $27 million in certificates of obligation. We need to manage that responsibly. And then we also need to ensure that developers are contributing their fair share, work with the Brazoria County Drainage District, and that's my second. All right.
Arnetta?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
I am just so glad to know that the city of our colony, we have a water capital improvement plan. I am so grateful that we're doing that. So we're taking, we're being proactive instead of reactive. We also just got a grant, $950,000, a drainage grant. So what we're doing, we are actually doing the work. It just takes time for the process to happen. So again, we, the city of our colony, we're doing what we're supposed to do. We just have to be patient in getting it done. So again, if you don't know anything about a capital improvement plan, what it is a major long-term infrastructure to ensure that the roads, the drainage are taken care of. But it's a long project, and we're doing it right now. So I want you to not be mistaken to think that the city of our colony is not prepared, because we really are. Thank you.
All right, to start with question number 3, we are going to start with Matthew. Effective local government depends on mutual respect and clear procedures within the city council. How will you ensure that city council meetings remain professional, transparent, and focused on the business of serving the citizens of Iowa Colony?
This is two of the points that I actually mentioned earlier. This is my ANC, my ACDC, right? This is accountability and collaboration. As far as accountability goes, there is no reason our council meeting shouldn't be recorded in some way, shape, or form for the public to access, whether it be through live stream, whether it be through recording on somebody's phone, saved to the website, whatever. That in itself will show what's happening on the council. You'll be able to hear what's going on in the council with your own eyes. So that way, if you miss a meeting here or there because your life is busy, everything's not going to fall apart. You can still see what's going on. You can still be informed. And that, in turn, I believe will hold the council, at least myself for sure, accountable. As far as collaboration goes, I believe that I will bring a new perspective to the council. I definitely believe my perspective is completely different than everybody currently on the council. And through that, we're going to be able to have new avenues where we can work together, where we can find common ground, and where we can scratch each other's backs to make things work. Thank you.
Lindsay, same question.
The key words to this question were focused on the business of serving the citizens of Iowa Colony. I feel that governance and professionalism in an elected role at local government level is nonpartisan, for one. Secondly, it involves a duty to the citizens, and your focus should be on that at all times, not infighting on the dais. I've witnessed too many instances where there has been a misplacement of attention. Attention has been given to personality conflicts which do not serve the interest of the citizens, our taxpayers, and our voters. And for me, if I'm elected, that's exactly what I intend to do, is maintain my focus on the city business to prevent things like bad business deals that won't bring sales tax to Iowa Colony. Thank you.
Marquetta?
Thank you. Well, I am so happy that we as a council can walk and chew gum at the same time. We have a duty to the citizens of Iowa Colony that we maintain decorum. And it's up to council to make sure that that happens. Nobody wants to do it, but if it has to be done, then we have to do it. When you are a council member, as an elected official, you give up some of your autonomy. That means you can't say and do whatever you want to say and do. That means that if the presiding officer calls order, there has to be order. Just like I have to stop when I see zero, if the mayor does not acknowledge me or tells me I need to stop, I need to stop. And while we're doing that, we're still taking care of the business of the city. Thank you.
All right, for our next question, I'm going to start with Nikki. How would you actively attract and support new businesses and job creators to Iowa Colony?
All right, so I think one of the first things is that it kind of starts with infrastructure. You got to have an infrastructure that is going to support the development of the businesses. So that means your roads and everything have to be efficient. Your utilities, you need to have strong broadband, all that stuff if you want employers here. Second, got to create a business-friendly environment. And then I think also targeting it through economic development. On the council, we spoke the other night about the Economic Development Committee. Iowa Colony you can't become everything to everybody, but we can get minds in the room to focus on the appropriate industries that will benefit the community and workforce, whether those are things like professional services or logistics or, industrial businesses that support the workers, but whether they're remote or hybrid. And then we got a really good, highly skilled white-collar population already, and that's an advantage we need to be leveraging. And then we need to use any incentives that we have responsibly, and we need to work hand in hand with our Brazoria County Chamber.
All right, April, same question.
And this is the question about attracting businesses, correct?
Yes.
All right. Attracting business should be intentional when it comes to Iowa Colony, not just us filling a void. I would look for companies that will strengthen the community needs, provide development for our residents, as well as provide the high-quality jobs. In order to attract these businesses, we have to first make sure Iowa Colony is ready. We need real opportunity, not just more traffic. And we also need to make sure City Council has proper agendas in place to support those businesses.
Arnetta, I'm going to ask you the same question.
Look, I don't know. We're having these problems in church now. This is church. We shouldn't have these kind of problems. I'm just playing. But anyway, let me just say this. The city of Iowa Colony economic development or attracting business, we're doing that. Number one, we have a P&Z board that's resident-centered. So that being said, they are talking to businesses as well as businesses coming to us. It's very, we got to be honest. You can see the results. We have the businesses in Iowa Colony. We have Hot Works. We have a barbershop. We have Starbucks. So the businesses are there, and they're there because we have the infrastructure for them. So we have to look at the proof and look at what you see, the results, and not just word action, but look at what you actually see. So again, we are attracting them, and we are collaborating. And another thing that I want to say, we have just voted for an economic development advisory board. So what we're doing, we are attracting business, we're working with businesses, and we're going to continue to do that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes. Would you mind addressing it during the closing statement? I'm sorry. If we have extra time at the end, I might go back. How's that sound? All right, so the next question, I'm going to start with Lindsay. What specific actions would you take to maintain low local taxes while ensuring a balanced budget and the continued provision of essential city services such as waste management and emergency response?
Thank you. So the specific actions I would take include economic development aligned with city goals, budget document meeting industry standards, ours currently does not, not selling out to developers. Iowa Colony has the capacity to be more selective. And for awareness of grants, the grant money that my colleague Arnetta mentioned is HUD money that was dispersed to the Houston-Galveston Area Council region to the tune of $488 million. They actually had to pass a resolution to lower the threshold amount from $1 million to $958,000 for Iowa Colony. I got over $7 million for City of Sweeney, and they only have 3,600 people. So we need to be very aware of the money that's out there so that we're not pulling out certificates of obligation to the tune of $27 million and raising people's taxes where we could have got it for free.
Marquetta, same question.
Yes, we've kept the tax rate the same for the last 4 years. We've gotten grants, like I said, the $300,000 grant we got for the new, or to update our comprehensive plan. We have crime control, which helped us get more dispatchers. We have a federal grant, which allowed us to pay for 2 police officers. And other things we're doing is we are getting better development agreements. When people come into the city, we're forcing them to annex immediately. So we get those taxes as soon as the houses are built and sold, and when they're built. What people don't understand is that we give 70% rebates to the 2 main developers in the city. And one of them gets to keep 90% of the sales taxes that we collect. So we have to get these development agreements that'll be more favorable to the city, and that's what we've been doing.
Matthew, you're next. I'm sorry, I'm switching it around on everybody.
We're figuring it out up here, no worries. Mine is pretty straightforward. I think a yearly or even a semi-annually review of all contracts that the city has would be greatly beneficial in order to save a dollar here or a dime there, mainly because things are changing constantly. Prices are moving greatly. The economy is not what it was a year ago. It's not what it was before COVID, and then we can keep going all the way to 2008 if we want to with this conversation, right? So by looking at what we're currently spending, we can find out where we can save money. And that's pretty much it. That's the easiest way I got for it. I do have an idea to look for a recreation grant as well. What that it would be for would be as if we were looking to build more parks or more green spaces in our area in order to keep that transition between the more rural and suburban populations nice and transitional. Thank you.
All right, April, same question.
I haven't had a chance.
We're skipping over. You're going to be on the next question.
She got skipped twice.
I got skipped twice.
She got skipped twice.
I got skipped twice. Huh? I've got skipped twice. I haven't had another question.
All right, I apologize. Margaret, why don't you answer this question?
Which one?
Talking about fiscal responsibility.
Okay, so the City of Iowa Colony undergoes an annual audit every year. They began the audit process in June, and it actually wrapped up, I think, in March. So the city is involved in audited processes. I think it's really important to make sure that we look into contracts, that we make sure that we're spending financially responsibly. The City of Iowa Colony is doing a great job with the small amount of city employees that it does have. They are pulling a lot of the weight. They do not get paid very much money. We have a very small police force, and somehow we ended up being the 8th safest city in Texas. We have a lot of potential here, but fiscal responsibility comes with commercial development, and it's important to understand that commercial development brings that in, pays for your infrastructure. And this I'm gonna take it off. Hopefully I'll get it on the other one.
All right, I apologize for, I told y'all at the beginning this was gonna be a problem for me. Okay, we are gonna move on to the next question. I will start with April. Community communication. How would you improve transparency and communication from the City Council to citizens about current projects, financial decisions, and long-term plans?
Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. Live streaming. It's 2026, and we do not have live streaming in our city council while our neighboring cities do. We have to take down the walls and allow people to have access. There's a lot of times parents are working and they have extracurricular activities. Just because they're not in the room does not mean that they do not want to be present. We have to take down the walls. And I know that comes with challenges and maybe funding issues, but we have to figure it out.
Nikki, same question.
Well, one thing that you keep hearing from the people that actually up here that are on the council currently is what you don't understand, what you don't understand. And my thing is people could understand if you communicate to them, if you engage them and educate them, and if you, as April said, take down the walls. I understand that there is an aversion to change. Things like streaming may be uncomfortable, but they may be expensive. But the reality is that they're not that expensive if our council prioritizes it. The council has to prioritize visibility. That means they have to open themselves up to the public's judgment, to the public's accountability. We are the people's representatives. If you can't see what we're doing, how we are collaborating, and the decisions we're making, you'll continue to be on this trail of a whirlwind of he say, she say in our city. But you need to be able to see. It starts there, improving communication there, and then number 2, meeting people where they're at, that's social media. Can't act like it's an aversion to the internet. It's here to stay, get with the program.
All right, Arnetta, same question.
Let's be clear. When I got on council 7 years ago, I wanted live streaming. But due to resources and due to lack of implementation, we wasn't able to do it. So let's be clear. We want live stream, but we have to make sure we have the infrastructure and the finances to do it. We have to understand being on council means it takes processes, it takes money, and we got to make sure that we're allocating it appropriately. So again, and then having staff to make sure they can do that. Remember, we just got an IT person. So guess what? As you know, our city manager gave us even a outline about the possibility of live streaming. So it's going to come. We just got to know as a council member, it's not going to come on your time. It's going to come to make sure that it's not being a burden to the taxpayers. Thank you very much.
All right, we're going to move on to the next question, and we're going to start with Marquetta. As Iowa Colony transitions from a rural area to a suburban community, how will you work to expand and support our local law enforcement and emergency services to keep pace with our growing population?
Well, that's a very good question. We work very closely with ESD for the emergency services and the fire department, ESD 3, and we focus on safety. I remember in council meeting just asking Chief, what do we need to do to improve retention, to improve the quality of the officers that we have? We raised salaries, that was the first thing. We work on training, and we try to create an environment where people want to come to Iowa Colony. I feel like we work very closely. We support our police department. That's why we're the 8th safest city in the state of Texas. And as I said previously, we seek out grants to help pay for this stuff. We got 2 police officers as a result of grants, and we got 3 dispatchers. So that's how we're gonna work on public safety.
All right, I am next gonna ask Matthew the same question.
Mic test. Thank you very much. I really wanted this one, actually. Last year, a few weeks before this same event happened, there was a kid that was hit on a scooter. I don't know if anybody remembers that. It was a pretty big deal around that time period. Well, guess what, guys? A few days ago, I was leaving Heritage Grove, which is the section of Meridiana that I live in. It's right off of Pursley Meridiana Parkway, and there was a pretty big size accident involving a biker right there. So what does that tell us? Nothing's changed in a year. The officers might have gotten better, but as far as the daily route that people take, it's actually gotten worse. Now that the gas stations are being built in the middle of these neighborhoods, you're having children walking across where people are just flying through, going to grab a beer, fixing their gas up, whatever they may be doing. I feel like we solved this with a massive amount of PSAs that we are relentless on. Every 2 weeks, every month, we release something, whether it be scooters, whether it be how to cross both ways.
All right, same question. I'm going to put this to Lindsay.
Public safety?
Yes.
Thank you. So we want to make sure that we are providing the tools that our first responders need. We want to make sure that we are paying competitively and not being a training ground where they can get their FTO hours out of the way and go to a different agency. No, we want them to stay here. We want to make it easy for them to live here. So that means that we also have to have a good housing market, so we have diverse housing options. To that end, our fire department is volunteer. So our Emergency Services District 3, I know that they will depend on grants too. I have offered pro bono services to our fire chief, and he's accepted. So we're going to be trying to partner to get a high water rescue boat in our area. Thank you.
All right. Sorry, I'm losing my place again. I'm just going to move to the final question. In what ways would you involve and leverage Iowa Colony's growing business community to assist in city initiatives, projects, or committees? And I will start with April.
It's on? Oh, okay. For me, the business community need to feel like they have a place at the table also. So we should have quarterly roundtable events for them to for them to communicate their challenges as well as tell us any open and upcoming opportunities. We should not just have them in the business or in the community to be a transaction, right? They also deserve some input on where we go with our communities and what the future for Iowa Colony looks like.
Margaret, same question. Your mic's not on.
Now it's my turn. Okay, so let's be real. What was Iowa Colony before? It's farms, right? So do farms have water, sewer, and septic? No. In order to bring in commercial businesses, to be attractive to commercial businesses, it takes about $1 million to put infrastructure into the ground. It's really important that we work with them. We are probably 10 years outside of water even reaching areas further to us. So we need to be considerate of businesses that are coming in. I keep hearing things about we don't like certain taxes. However, the boat dealership is one. Yes, you don't get sales tax on the sale of a boat, but you do get property tax. How much do you think a piece of property is off a 288 that has a commercial business on it? It's a big property tax. We also get SIT tax, which is special inventory tax on boats. I know that because I called the Brazoria County tax appraiser. So those boats are expensive, and we get to tax them.
Nikki, same question.
All right, so I think when it comes to attracting businesses, I think number one, we're doing a good job with partnering with the chamber, but we need to level that up so that we can access business owners in the chamber, bring them to the table, and then we need to engage the citizens as well. Because number one, we have a large citizenship that is obviously is very competent in a lot of various areas, but we need to bring them to the table because things like Margaret mentioned. Yeah, a dealership is great, but do we want a dealership row here in Iowa Colony? Most people don't. What types of, we can't just be open for any type of business that comes. So we need to, number one, I'm losing my place a little bit, but let me get into my notes. So promoting and highlighting our businesses with the chamber, engaging our constituents in that, bringing businesses to the table, having various things to do, making sure that we're sourcing things locally. So when we have events and stuff, we really should have something. When we're having things at Iowa Colony, we have Iowa Colony business owners and vendors that are first dibs on.
Arnetta?
Can you hear me? Okay, good. Realistically and honestly, we do engage our businesses. I am so thankful that our mayor, he goes to all the businesses in our community and connects and collaborates. That's number one. Number two, because of P&Z and having that resident-led committee, businesses are brought in because of them, and then we, as the council, make sure that we vote on it, vote for them, if you will. And again, we have this, even though we are building to have this economic advisory committee, currently the council has made decisions to ensure that we connect and that we have businesses. So when we say that we're open, but we're not trying to sell to everybody, we're not. We're being very strategic, and we're being mindful of what we're doing for our city. Thank you.
All right, it's time for closing statements, and let me remind you that you are welcome to answer any questions that you did not get to answer during your closing statement. I'm going to start on this end with Marquetta. You have 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. I want to just talk about some of the accomplishments that our city has had since May of 2021. We've expanded city services to help improve the quality, including water, wastewater, and trash service. We supported new development agreements that have been favorable to the city. We just passed one where we get to keep the INS, and we only have to give up 22% of the M&O, and it's only for 20 years, whereas some of the ones that are current are up to 50 years. So we are doing the work. We've held developers accountable. That was the first thing I did when I got on council. One of my council members is back there, Chad, and he'll remember. When I got on council, I wanted to learn. I didn't want to sit up there and say, I know it all, so let me start telling y'all how it should be. I wanted to just sit there and learn, but I learned quickly that there was a developer who was not holding up his end of the bargain. As an attorney, all I care about is what I can enforce. So I started making sure that we had plans in place that if that developer did not uphold their end of the bargain, guess what? You weren't getting any permits. That's one of the biggest accomplishments I think that I have made on this council. We've also kept the city tax rate the same for 4 years. We are continuing our economic growth to expand the city's tax base, and we started a utility fund for capital improvement projects. That is so important. Now we, as a city, because we have a vested interest, we can improve the water quality of our city. That's why we issued debt, because I understood we needed more capacity, and we needed to make sure that we were providing good water and good services for our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Arnetta?
Well, it's just been a privilege and an honor to even be on council. That's number one. And one thing that I like to hang my hat on is, number one, the connection of community. Having a Christmas festival, having an MLK, that's very important. And having the 4th of July, that's very vital. Then reasonable and sustainable growth. We've done that. I hang my hat on that. I hang my hat on all these businesses that we have. We didn't have these businesses prior. And to be able to have that sales tax revenue be almost $1 million coming to the city, that's amazing. Then being fiscal responsible. You cannot say that we've done something illegal when the state has said we passed the audit. You can't say that. We can't go against what the state is saying, and I hang my hat on that. I hang my hat on that. We have to make sure that we plan for the future, and we're doing just that. Remember, this city is 20,000, not 150. We got to make sure that when we're talking about the city, you're talking about the right city. Understand this, Manville, who I love dearly, most of their properties they own their properties. We don't. So a lot of these businesses come in, they have to buy their land, and they buy the land. It's their land. So we try to do is have some control over that with having different permits. So that being said, we love the city. I love the city. The city is growing. Is it improvements? Everybody, every entity needs improvement. We're not saying that. But we're not going to sit here and make it seem like our colony is not doing anything. We are thriving and we're striving and we will continue to thrive. Thank you.
Lindsay, your closing statement.
Thank you so much. As a 10-year resident and a career public servant, I look forward to serving the citizens of Iowa Colony. I love doing this, I really do. And I just think it's really important that you have somebody at the helm that knows what they're doing. Somebody who's worked through some of the complicated issues, has done emergency management. It's very important to understand where you need to look to find the federal funding. As my colleague Margaret said, special inventory tax, yes, the city could collect it, but there is a loophole in the law that allows inventory to leave out of the door the last month of the year, and that's typically what we see where I work. We take in over $30 million in industrial district fees. Special inventory tax is part of that. And so that's something that, if you have somebody at the helm that knows how to deal with that and how to execute an agreement that effectively addresses that, that's very important. I just want to thank everybody for being here tonight. I want to thank the Northern Brazoria Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Perrin, Redeemer Church, our moderator for your time management. That was very skilled. I want to thank everybody in attendance. We have Mayor Will Kennedy and his wife, Andrea. We have Mayor Dan back there, our county judge candidate, Eugene Howard. It really means a lot to me that you guys all came out, so thank you very much.
Nikki.
I'm going to dive into the elephant in the room because it's a whole lot of talking around the table, and you need to be transparent and accountable. The reality is that I think a lot of the confusion in our city comes down to the way that I engage people on social media. I will not stop doing that. I am an honest advocate. I do not lie. I am a truth teller. With that being said, no one has ever said that the city is doing anything with money. What I have criticized is the way of working with my colleagues, because I believe the way of working is what contributes to the outcomes and us not handling the business of the people when we're up there. With that being said, if we want different outcomes, we have to do different things. I believe that so strongly that I gave up incumbency. I gave up incumbency. Why? Because I believe these seats belong to taxpayers, they belong to people, and taxpayers have a right to visibility, they have a right to transparency. And what I signed up for last year when I ran, I said on this stage and a couple of others that I was here for a year and that I believe in transparency. So instead of just quitting cold turkey, I owe every single taxpayer of Iowa Colony my opinion, my fact-based opinion on the state of affairs. I have done just that, and it is now up to you to make those decisions. I've given my honest assessment. Residents need to be able to see what is going on in the government that we pay for, period, point blank. I ran on transparency and engagement. I'm approaching the role as a taxpayer first. And at the end of the day, you have got to open up the city and make it accessible to people so that we can then be accountable to them for the decisions that we're making that they will have to pay for the next 40 years and to come.
Matthew?
Once again, everyone, my name is Matthew Eisenberg. I am running for City Council Position 1 for Iowa Colony. Thank you all so much for being here, for waiting for all the last of us to finish. We know it's a little difficult, especially on weekdays, so thank you. Thank you to everybody else who's running for council and who's currently on council for still being involved. We can tell just by being here that there is a lot that needs to happen for the council to be improved, and I'm incredibly impressed that everybody's here together working on that. Thank you, moderator, for the second year in a row for dealing with my little hiccups. Greatly appreciate it. And overall, I want everybody to remember AC/DC, right? Accountability, collaboration, and then data centers. I will do everything I can to help our city compete on and collaborate with the county to make sure if anything huge like a data center is going to go in, that it doesn't affect us or that we fight it to the best of our abilities. I believe that we can be held accountable through basic FaceTime or live streaming or whatever new age route that you want to take for our council meetings. It is doable, it is cheap, but there might be some red tape that we just got to cut a few ribbons in order to get it started. Not a big deal. I believe that we should get onto these PSAs immediately, even if I'm not elected. Maybe I'll look at a different board or some other thing to go on to, so that way I can still be involved, so that way everybody is taken care of. I have an 8-month-old daughter, and when I pulled out of there to go to Costco, and I'm like, man, this person just got hit on their bike, and every time I go to that corner store, I see people just flip and just fly out of there. It is important that basic reminders are given to people, because over the years, I feel like people in general have just forgot the basics. And so, AC/DC, or almost ABCD, back to basics. Thank y'all. Matthew Eisenberg, Iowa Colony City Council, Position 1.
Margaret.
Okay, so I just want to say that in terms of, I think a good city official is someone who is there, who shows up, and who asks those questions, those hard questions. There's a lot about transparency. One of the biggest and most important things is when you see Mayor Dan doing his Manville city council meetings, you can actually see the documents, you can see the people speaking, you can see everyone. That is not just live streaming, friends. That is not live streaming. That's not just putting your phone up. That is well thought out. And I have actually asked council members questions about that. How much does that cost? Have you done the research on that? And they have, but no one talks about that. No one talks about the fact also that I think it was October, November, when our city employees were looking at getting a small pay raise, that we were just trying to keep them. We are woefully understaffed for the amount of growth that we are getting that's coming our way. And they work very hard for it. So sometimes, maybe public streaming, you can't just live stream. I asked that question. It's not sufficient. But can we make it a priority? I think we can. I think we can raise those funds. Also, infrastructure, transparency, I believe we need to put the facts. I do believe that. But I think it takes both sides to be honest and have someone ask the questions, make sure we're getting the data and bringing it to the people. And that's where communication comes. I want to know what questions you asked. I want to know who you spoke to and the information I can give the public. And that's what I'm here for. Being an attorney, you ask the hard questions. You make assessments. And you may not like them, but I'm going to tell you why I landed on that side. And I'm not just going to say, well, it should have happened. So that's why I would like you to vote for me, because it takes work and it takes collaboration, and you have to be there.
All right, April, you get to finish it up.
All right, I'm April McCoy. I'm gonna go back to a question that I was not asked, and it was around how do we stay on task or keep it at business in city council. I honestly think we have to take some professional development. I mean, we see it here on stage. It's something in the air, something's wrong, and professional development does not mean you're not a professional. It just means we need to come to the table and learn how to communicate with each other. Everyone communicates on a different level, and we have to respect each other and put that on the table. So we honestly have to start there first. There's so many things that have happened over the last 7 to 8 months. It's quite embarrassing to be like, this is what happens in my city council. We need to remove that. We need professional development. The same way communities hold their POA and HOA accountable and they expect a change, we need to hold our city council accountable. Something has to change. Trees grow up, just like Iowa Colony. We're growing. I appreciate the city for what it has done. The mayor, thank you for everything that you do. But just like trees, the roots are also growing. Those are just things that people tend to look over or cannot see. Let's not forget about the small stuff.
All right, thank you. That concludes the Iowa Colony City Council segment of tonight's event. We deeply appreciate the candidates for stepping forward to lead and for answering our questions this evening. Let's give them all a round of applause. So to all the candidates that we heard from tonight, thank you for your willingness to serve and for sharing your time with us. And I just want to remind everybody that Election Day is May 2nd from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Take the information you heard tonight and share it with your neighbors, and share the YouTube videos when the Northern Brazoria County gets them posted. Thank you all for coming. Drive safely and have a wonderful evening.
This concludes our 2026 local candidate election forum. I hope you had a lot of great information. Thank you again to Redeemer Church here in Manville on Highway 6 for opening up the doors for us and letting us use their AV equipment. And then also thank you, Carolyn, for doing all the moderating. Again, to you, everyone who's watching, mostly important, go out and vote. Early voting is now over. The last day to vote is Saturday, May 2nd. Make sure you're there. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll do it again next time.